Okay, I come at you again, sans makeup. You can honestly see that I still have no eyebrows. I mean, they're kind of, they're fading. I am spooky season t-shirted up next to my bed. I am currently hiding from my dogs and my napping toddler. I am home alone other than that, like, napping toddler. If she hears me, she will find me. Also, my dogs, if they hear me, they will not stop yapping. I have closed my curtains. I know I have a fan running in the background. It's kind of humid today. It's kind of rainy-ish. It's humid. I'm in Southern California and it's October, what is it, 9th? October 9th. It's kind of humid today and kind of rainy. So I have an update though. And I had to come on sans makeup and everything because at this point you guys are just my friends. Like, we're friends now. So you guys can get used to the fact that this is what I look like. And I finally can tell you what my sewing plans are. So I took a little bit of a sewing break. I needed to kind of clear my mind, go through my stash. I have way too much stuff. I still, to this day, I haven't like sorted. I have too much stuff. I had to order the fabric to make what I wanted to make. I thrifted, I hunted to find some green linen in the thrift stores and antique stores. It could have been a tablecloth or curtains. It could have been that. And I would have been happy as long as it was Kelly green linen. I could not find it. So then I was on a mission. I went through Fabric Wholesale Direct, I think, and they had some really pretty green linen. I ordered it. I ordered 5 yards. I did not expect to get this much, but then I also thought, remember that little short set that I showed you that was green in the pattern? I think it was a Simplicity vintage pattern, vintage repro pattern. I figured whatever I have left over, I'm just going to make that out of the leftovers. But it came. I have my green linen, my Kelly, I don't know if you can even tell. It's Kelly green. I was hunting this color down. I have all of my Kelly green supplies, accessories, like not accessories, but supplies to finish this project. Like, because I'm finally going to tell you what I want to make. You probably guessed it. Maybe if you know me and you know I like to recreate things that I see online, you'll know that I seen this on Instagram. I'm going to tell you right now is Pickwick Vintage and Dita Von Teese. This dress, I'll do a pop-up of it too. But that dress, it's a designer dress. I wish I had the name. I found it on Google. I'll find the name and I'll put it up so that way you guys, if you want the designer dress, you can get the exact dress. Is this dress. It is very expensive. It is a dirndl dress. Dirndl dress? I don't know how to say that word, but I'm very excited. I already had like rivets, you know, the little rivets for the corset. I ordered laces and I ordered tips for the laces, metal tips for the laces. I see here that they're gold or like a burnt rust color, whatever. I don't think that's what it's called, but you guys know what I mean. I ordered green to just cover it, to make it all green. It's all going to be green. I am going to recreate this dress. I am going to use the L'Amour bodice from Gertie and is it the Liz skirt? I want to say it's the Liz skirt. It's just a gathered skirt with a bit of a flare, and I'm going to lengthen it. I will take you guys along for the process. I did a grown-up thing to save fabric because I had to order this fabric. Usually, like, I don't do. I'm horrible. Don't learn from me. I usually don't do mock-ups, but I have been learning that if I don't want to waste fabric, I need to do a mock-up. Since I had to order this green linen, I did a mock-up out of some scrap fabrics, measured like the L'Amour that I usually make, the one that I finally perfected, basically. I measured that and I basically like cut the rounded parts off so that it's more dirndl-like. And then I'm going to freehand those straps, just draft them myself. And everything else, like I already have, like it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple dress. It's labeled as a midi dress, and I knew it when I saw it on Dita. Even though she's short, she's a petite woman. I am taller than her. I have met her. Maybe if I find the picture, I'll do a pop-up here. I was a very shy little girl when I met her, but I didn't know she was so tiny. She's a very petite woman, and I am not that petite. So when I saw it on her, I was like, it still looks like a midi. Like it's below the knee. I like dresses that length anyway. I find them very flattering. So I do plan on lengthening the skirt by about 3 inches. And then from there, if it's still too long or if it seems too long, I'll hem it a little bit. But I'm thinking I'm going to lengthen the skirt about 3 inches. I've done this before. That same skirt I lengthened by 2 inches. And then I added a ruffle for my Rita dress that I made last year for spooky season. I won't be adding a ruffle or a hem on this dress. If you zoom in, it does have an added hem along the bottom. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to lengthen the skirt and then hem it from there. I'm very excited, guys. This might sound crazy. I even found the bra that she's wearing. I found it on clearance in my size. So I found that as a sign. It was a sign, Kayla, you need to make this dress and you need to style it like Dita. I might even wear it to the apple orchard if I finish it in time. I can honestly probably make this dress in a day once I get everything cut out. So I'm very excited. That's my project for this week, maybe even tomorrow. Today's Thursday, so maybe even I'll just do it tomorrow and bang it out. It won't be that hard. I'm going to use boning. I'm going to use some certain techniques that I learned from those Gina bustiers from Gertie. They you put boning in them and you sew along the seam lines, the boning channels. I am going to do that instead of seaming it and doing all of the work of the L'Amour bodice. So I will kind of walk you guys through that part. I've already thought it. I've thought it in my head. Once it's in here, guys, I know I can do it. Another thing, speaking of that, once it's in here, once I've thought about it, I can make it. So remember how I told you guys I really wanted to make a patchwork witch's hat? The reason I didn't do my hair today. I made a patchwork witch's hat out of all of the spooky season. Well, not all of it, but a lot of the spooky season fabric that I used last year. And a couple of like quilting fabrics that I had that I felt would make it a little bit more cottagey. Yeah, they're thrown in there. I thought it would make it a little bit more girly and a little bit more cottagey, but I'm absolutely obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with the way that it came out. I am going to make another one. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm in a very small frame right now because I'm hiding. But I love this hat. I am obsessed with this hat. And I do see that little thread that I need to cut. But, guys, I made it. I did it. It was in my head. And then I did it. I do have like a step-by-step, but I wanted to show you guys that I did it. And that was exciting. And a little sock update. I am right now turning the heel or making the heel flap or whatever it's called on my first ever sock. I've gotten pretty far, and therefore I have to keep going. So this is like the little heel flap, and this is how far I am on one sock. I was very depressed about it because I'm a pretty fast sewer. Like I said, I can knock this dress out tomorrow, and I probably will. But socks, that's a week's worth of work for me to sit there and just knit. And I know I was telling you guys I needed a project that slowed me down. But it's driving me kind of crazy. Therefore, I must sew. I must sew because I sew faster than I knit. I also want to crochet a few things. Me and my daughter were talking about these shrugs that she makes, and I want to make one full length to kind of go over these dresses that I plan on making. So Gertie also came out with this Annie bodice, and it's like, I think I was talking to you guys about it. It's like square necklined and very sexy to me. But I found this orange gingham with black rickrack, and it is cotton. And I know that she says to get rayon, but I just want to make like a simple little cotton dress to practice that. See what I'm saying? Like spooky season, but also kind of just fall, but also maybe I'm going to wear this to the pumpkin patch. I haven't sewn that before. That's the only reason why I don't think I could sew that in one day, because it's going to take some practice. But the cool thing about this is it will be practice for the one that I want to make out of rayon, because I have the fabric for that and it is rayon. And I want to make sure I don't F up that one, if that makes sense. This is just like $3.99 cotton. That was rayon. That I don't remember how much I paid for it then, but still. Then I have these like little 1-yarders of just like green powdery, I don't even know what to call this, green powdery fabric is what I'm going to call it. And this cute little like patchwork. I called it scarecrow fabric, because tell me that doesn't remind you of a scarecrow, but I find it very cute. And I have a baby, and I'm thinking of doing something along the lines of that for her, like a patchwork type fall outfit. Then I have this, like a few pieces of it, not complete, but I want to make a dress. And then out of all of the remnants that I have from those four fabrics, I'm going to create another patchwork fabric and then another patchwork hat out of all this to match. It will match the dress that I want to make out of this, right? And it will match the gingham dress. And then I could wear those as like a cottagey witch. I'm telling you, I'm on to something. The fun thing about this fabric, this sunflower-esque fall fabric, is that's technically going to be a wearable muslin mock-up, because I want to make my birthday dress for Viva. It's a copy of a dress that I've seen in a movie, The Opposite Sex, I think it is, or is it Women's World? Is it old movie? Either way, this woman, and if I find a picture, I'll show you. Maybe I'll wait until my birthday dress time to sew it, but she's wearing this like beautiful dress that's just sewn onto her body. It's pink, it's lace, it's sexy, and it's basically, I'm gonna make it in a fall dress, plain cotton, see if I like the fit and like the style of the pattern that I picked out for it. And if I do, I'm gonna make that pattern into my birthday dress. So we'll talk about that in April when that comes around. But this is going to be the wearable muslin of that, the wearable mock-up of that, since I have it in cotton. I think that's all as far as like projects that I have coming up. And this is the intro. I guess you could say this is the intro to my Dita dress. I am very excited, guys. So let me get into it and start cutting all my patterns out and all my fabric out.
Okay, I have cut out all of my pattern pieces. I'm going to show you here. I just folded down the rounded parts of the pattern, and when I sewed it together on my muslin, it worked. So here's my beautiful sewing machine. I'm still sewing on my 1950s Kenmore. And I know the lighting sucks right here, but basically I'm underlining all of the pieces, all of the linen with this cotton, this floral cotton I had. And it's kind of cool because the original dress actually has a floral underlined piece too. Excuse any dogs you might see playing in the background and any dirty windows. But here I am just underlining all these pieces. And that's exactly like the Gina bustier that I was talking about. You have to underline all those pieces as well. And also the Lemoire, you underline it, I think twice. Or you underline it and then you line it. So I only underlined it once with one piece of fabric, which isn't very hard. And you may also see my children come in and play with all of my stuff. That's what they do while I'm sewing. Now here, I think I'm also underlining, or no, this is me actually stitching together the pieces. Now that everything's underlined, I am putting my seams together, the right side and the left side of the bodice. This is me doing the princess seam, so I'm very particular when I do my princess seams. I pin it a million times. You know, you clip the curves and everything. The awesome thing about Gertie patterns for me is that I've gotten my size pretty figured out. So I know what to cut out and I know how to sew it and I know that it's going to fit me. When I'm doing vintage patterns and vintage reproduction patterns, I still have to go through the size books and kind of play around with the sizing of them before I know that they're going to fit perfectly. Now here's all my pieces. I'm going to press open my seams, cut the seams down to about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch. I'm pretty sure. I'm pressing seams, cutting the seams down, because then I'm going to sew on the bias tape for that's what I use for boning channels because it's green. So I figured it would match. I am trying to be so good about using pressing hams and everything to make my seams better, but I kind of suck at. I'm not going to lie, I was using my chairs before I got this ham. I was using the back of my chair, like where the arm, well, it's not an arm, but yeah, I was using the back of my chair. Now I'm just using these pressing hams. Makes it a little bit easier. Still fumbly though. So I know I did this in basically halves. When you're doing the Gina bustier, it's in steps that you actually sew a seam, press a seam, cut a seam, sew a seam, press a seam, cut a seam. I didn't do that for this. I was too anxious to make it. So here I am trimming the seams down. I do want to get my bias tape out and just kind of measure to see how much I wanted to trim, and then also measure the pieces of bias tape that I was going to use. So here I'm just seeing how much of it I want to trim off because the bias tape lays on the seam line. Cut, cut, cut. I get nervous, even though I know that I'm supposed to do that. Every time I do it, I still get nervous that it's just not going to work out. I don't know why. I trust the process. I do this in my job too. I'm a hairdresser, and I'm like, I trust the process. I trust my product and everything. But then I still be like, oh, is it going to do what I want it to do? Yes, it will. It totally will. So now I'm measuring the bias tape 5/8 of an inch off of the seam on each side, because our seam or our obviously the waistline gets sewn into the skirt, so you don't want it to hit into the skirt. And then the top we fold down, and then I just trim all of my pieces. And then I like to pin each one on so I can remember where it goes. And here is me edge sewing the pieces into the seam line. The really pretty effect that this gives is the corset effect on the outside, which you will see, but it gives those seams like the double top stitch of like a corset or a bustier top. And I love the way that looks. It's very sexy, very vintage. This part is a little tricky, and because we're working with bias tape and not hard channels, it does stretch a little bit. I do want to give that warning if you're going to work with bias tape for these and you're sewing them in. More than likely, this tape will stretch just a little bit. I didn't let that get to me because I can always just trim it later, or, you know, it's cotton. I used 100% cotton ones, so it wasn't giving that much bulk, but I know for a fact that the polyester ones can add a lot of bulk. It just depends on which ones you're using. And when you're using actual boning channels, just be careful for your measurements because you don't want them to go down into your waistline. It creates a lot of, it can break your needle, actually, if you're sewing into your skirt and you put too much bulk into that waistline. And now I'm going up the other side. So you have to edge seam on each side really close to the edge for these because the boning is going to go in there. So you have to be very careful, and also be very careful not to go off of the edge of it because then it won't be holding in your boning channel at all. And you'll be able to see that on the outside. Just remember, all of these stitches will be seen from the outside. I used the boning instructions, shall we say, the boning pattern from the Lemoire still. So everything that was on my Lemoire pattern that was instructed for the bones, I used that still. So you'll see that here, the one that goes across the bodice side and the extra one that goes on that back side. And that was the boning. I don't know why it didn't show me that I guess I forgot to film that I boned it. But I did add all the boning, and it gives this such good structure. Look at how neat that looks. Oh my God, there it is. Okay, it's so neat, and it looks so pretty. And as you can see, I folded over the top 5/8 of an inch. I trimmed that seam as well, and the inner bodice seam. I trimmed them just like I did all the seams, and then I added bias tape to that. Here is the dress all put together, except for the sleeves. Because, oh, this is me adding the zipper. And now she looks like a dress. My lighting in my kitchen, or my dining room, really sucks because this is green and it's, yeah, now we're going to add the rivets. But I do like the way that it came out. Look at the inside. It just looks so girly. Oh my gosh, I love it. And then also the waistline, because it's not lined, the waistline is kind of free, and I added like quilt tape to that. Here are my little self-drafted straps. Everything is ready to go. Now I've added the little rivet holes to the straps. It's actually not as hard as I thought it was going to be because I have this awesome tool, this handy dandy tool my partner bought me when I was making pants for Viva one year. I have marked all my dots for the rivets. I'm not even sure. Is that what they called, rivets? I'm just going to say rivets, but this thing is so cool. So it has like this hole puncher, I will call it, but it's a fabric puncher. You go on to your fabric. My dad used to have one of these for leather belts, actually. And you go right onto your hole and you punch it in. Yep, and sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle, but most of the time it punched right through. It was more of a struggle for me to get it out of the fabric. Then you put it on this setting. That's so that you can put the little hole thing in there, the rivet. I'm going to call it a rivet because I don't like whole thing. I used gold just because like the one in hers was more like a bronzed or an antique bronze. But I used gold. So you put the little rivet in there with the back is the open part. And then that way the prettier part is showing, right? And then you slip this little thing over there and you press it, and it presses that part open. Like a little umbrella. Perfect. I actually had a lot of fun doing those the whole time. Now this part, we are going to put the lace caps on. And I actually found this is a really cool thing. I got these on Amazon, but it also helps the straps or the laces from even going through the holes. So you won't lose your laces, you know what I mean? You won't have to relace it because it's in the hole. So I did find that really cool, even for like toddler shoes or kids' shoes, how they were always unlacing their shoes. I thought that would be pretty cool. So you slip it on to your lace and kind of push the lace down in there. And I really liked these ones because they come with holes and the little screws. The only problem is you're going to need like an eyeglass screwdriver, like for your eyeglasses. And if you wear nails, you might struggle like I did a few times. But you put it in the little hole, you get your eyeglass screwdriver, and you just screw it all the way through. And it keeps the lace safe, like the lace on. I love that. And it gives it some weight, so they look very high class, very, very nice. And now for the big reveal, guys. Here she is in all of her glory. I did this look with the same bra that Dita's wearing in that post, and I just thought it came out so good. I mean, guys, I'm obsessed. But I also thought I'd do a few other looks. So here is my Oktoberfest, like St. Pauli's girl look with just a peasant blouse that I've had. I thought this looks so cute. And then I thought maybe some Hobbit core. I thought this was like from the Shire kind of a look. And I absolutely adored this one too. And I know we're not ready. I'm not ready. But I also thought this is a perfect Christmas look. Like, how cute is this? Santa's Little Helper, anyone? Absolutely darling. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.